So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, and a very warm welcome to all of you to the BlubWorld Web Talks 231st episode. In the last 230 episodes, we have talked to, interacted with nearly 4,000 from all across the world, where they've shared their ideas, opinions, innovations, and what all new are they doing in the education space. तो नमस्कार, आप सभी का स्वागत है ब्लबवर्ल्ड वेब टॉक्स के 231वें एपिसोड में। पिछले 230 एपिसोड में हमने करीबन करीबन 4,000 से ज्यादा शिक्षाविदों से बातचीत की और उनसे जानने की कोशिश की कि वो शिक्षा को कैसे बदल रहे हैं और शिक्षा उन्हें कैसे बदल रही है. So today as well, on this episode, when we have such an amazing array of guests with us, we'll be discussing something even more relevant for teenagers, parents, schools, and everyone in the complete ecosystem. Right now, this issue is critical in India because it's now being experimented by a mainstream board. But across the world, it's being used by a lot of postgraduate colleges and somewhere in some schools as well. So let's try to know from the school leaders today that what do they think about this approach or the topic for today. Before we start, Namaste, I am Daksh. I'm the founder of BlubWorld magazine, where every month we try to find teenagers who are doing amazing work in their life and share their stories with many more teens. We currently operate the world's first and the only elected parliament of teenagers called the World Teen Parliament, which is celebrating its third year, and we have announced cash awards for some of the most amazing teenagers across the world with the name of the World Teen Awards, where we are trying to support teenagers financially for being able to make better career choices. Thank you so much, everyone, once again for joining this session. So before we start, just two simple ground rules. The BlubWorld Web Talks is a timed platform. So once your speaking time is over, you might get muted. If you get muted, please don't get offended. It's just to keep the activity crisp and entertaining for everyone. Before your time comes to an end, you'll get a final 30-second buffer time when you see the BlubWorld's hand raised like this. You see it right now on your screen. So once you see that, it means the final 30 seconds have started, and after that, you could get muted. Secondly, this is a bilingual platform, so you can use English or Hindi, any of these two languages. Please don't use a third one because I might not get it. We do respect all the languages, but these are the only two languages that we can really process. Thank you so much, everyone. So today's topic brings in a very different kind of a communication or a different perception to education, is where we talk of open book examination. This is not something very new. It's something very old to the world. But when we experiment it in mainstream and with a big population of children, what does happen? Are we dumbing them down? Are we giving them an opportunity to be more analytical? Are we giving them an opportunity to be logical? And while we start open book examinations, have we looked at the curriculum once again? Because now they don't need to test their memory, but if we are not testing their memory, what are we really testing? Because the curriculum still depends on memory testing. So has the curriculum evolved or just the examination approach? So let's try to know it from our experts today. What do they think on it? To initiate this session, I would first invite somebody who can have a bird's eye view to the school's ecosystem, who comes from the university platforms. So very warm welcome to Mr. Anurag Avasthi, Director of Admissions and Marketing for Bahara University, Shimla, Himachal Pradesh, India. Anurag ji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Thank you so very much, Daksh. Very good evening to everyone, all the educators here. And it's an opportunity for me to talk on this very interesting topic. The CBSE has taken a decision, and it is done experimental basis so far in the month of November. And I believe, all the educators who are already in education know the importance of this particular topic. And I'll not go into the details of the topic because open book examination, as the name suggests, this is a platform wherein the students get an opportunity to refer to their notes or books or any study material to answer the questions asked in the examination. But before I move on, I'll just talk about one important factor, because that is something which we face in the universities and colleges as well. What is the objective of education actually? What I feel is the objective of education can be threefold. Number one, definitely it is employment. The students are looking for an employability, and they need to harness their employability skills. The second objective could be being an entrepreneur. They need to become entrepreneurs, and they can give jobs to others. The third very possibility could be they join some profession as a professional. तीनों चीजों में अगर हम देखते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं स्किल्स की जरूरत होती है. वी रिक्वायर स्किल्स, एंड दीज स्किल्स आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड जो हमारा कन्वेंशनल मेथड है, जो हमारा क्लोज बुक मेथड होता है, जो अभी तक हम अडॉप्ट करते हैं अपने स्कूल्स में, वहाँ पे जो लर्निंग है, बेसिकली जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है, इट इज फोकस्ड ऑन लर्निंग. तो स्टूडेंट्स आर मोर फोकस्ड ऑन लर्निंग द थिंग, बिकॉज दैट इज हाउ दे आर इवेलुएटेड. उनको क्वेश्चन का आंसर जो करना होता है, वो क्वेश्चन आंसर्स को वो लर्न करते हैं, और लर्न करके, एक मैं एग्जांपल लेना चाहूंगा कि सपोज बच्चा मीन, मोड, मीडियन, स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन, ही कोई टॉपिक्स पढ़ रहा है. Definitely he understand how to calculate, he knows how to find out the answer, but most of the time he doesn't know the practical application of it, कि अगर स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन निकाला है तो वो अप्लाई कहाँ पे होगा, उससे क्या हमें पता लग सकता है. So I believe this open book system definitely is going to help the students in that particular manner. This will be challenging to the teachers also, definitely, because the questions will not be set up in the same format. They'll have to find out ways कि questions को किस तरीके से बनाया जाए ताकि बच्चे creative होकर के, creative thinking के basis पे answer कर सकें. And most importantly, the ways of teaching. Already I see that there are a lot of questions in mathematics and in other concepts. एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल है कॉम्प्रीहेंशन का, जो लैंग्वेजेस में होता है. कॉम्प्रीहेंशन में कॉम्प्रीहेंड करके आंसर किया जाता है, विच इज वेरी मच इक्वलेंट और क्लोज टू द ओपन बुक सिस्टम, विच is going to be applied and which will be definitely helpful to the students. I'll just share one example. सबने हमने थ्री इडियट्स मूवी देखी है. थ्री इडियट्स मूवी के बहुत सारे मैसेजेस हैं, और भी बहुत बहुत सारी मूवीज हैं. बट दो इंसिडेंट्स है. एक इंसिडेंस है जहाँ पे प्रोफेसर एक क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, एक डेफिनेशन पूछते हैं मशीन की, जिसका उस कैरेक्टर का जो आंसर होता है वो बहुत सिंपल सा आंसर होता है कि अ मशीन इज समथिंग विच रिड्यूसेस आवर एफर्ट्स, ह्यूमन एफर्ट्स. द अदर आंसर इज वेरी मच विच इज प्रॉपरली लर्नड बाय अनदर कैंडिडेट. So I believe this particular movie also, gives us a message that open book learning, undoubtedly the examination will not be easy for the students as thought by most of the students. Examination system kahin na kahin difficult rahega, because they'll not be asked direct questions, they'll have to apply their critical thinking, and accordingly they'll have to answer that particular question. I believe my time is almost over. With this, I'll just close it and will open it to all the educators. And I believe this step is a very welcoming step. चैलेंजिंग रहेगा, लेकिन धीरे धीरे करके डेफिनेटली इट विल बी हेल्पिंग द स्टूडेंट्स एज वेल एज द एजुकेटर्स. थैंक यू सो वेरी मच.
Thank you so much, Anuragji. I'll try to summarize what you said. I think you gave a very apt start to the conversation, that where does the real objective of education lie when we look at examining people, or when we look at, how do we really evaluate a student? What's the objective with which we are doing that evaluation? The objective for a student could be employment, could be entrepreneurship, could be becoming a professional. But something that's underlying to all of them, whichever stream you choose, doesn't make a difference, is a requisite skill set that you must have. And most importantly, the other layer that gets added to that skill set is that, is your skill set monetizable? Is somebody ready to pay you for that skill set? Whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are a professional, whether you are looking for a job, all of them want monetizable skill sets. And with an open book examination, will we be able to do that? That's the question that makes the conversation interesting. You talked about learning to apply the knowledge that they're gaining, because till now, when we specifically talk of the Indian context, we are just relying all of our, the reliance of monetization is on the memory of the student. That is he able to remember what all has been taught to them? And now what we are trying to do is shift from memorization to application. That do you really comprehend what has been taught to you? So the idea of comprehension coming from linguistics or language to all the other streams. Thank you so much, Anuragji. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Miss Bubun Saran, the principal of DAV Mahatma Anand Swami Public School from Sili, Ranchi, Jharkhand. Bubun ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to share my views on open book tests. First of all, when I think about open book test, let me tell you that CBSE tried this concept long time back in 2015 as well. At that time, they introduced OTBA, which was open text based assessment. In this, students were given certain supplementary material through which they were supposed to study those materials, and then the questions were asked in the examination carrying about 10 marks, and they were supposed to answer them. But this was a restricted type of open book test, right? It failed, unfortunately. Reason being that it did not achieve the requisite targets, or the thing that was expected from that could not be achieved. Reason being that students simply copied whatever was given in that particular provided text and used it in the answers. Whereas the objective was that students would analyze and put their thoughts. The objective of any open book test is to, uh, obviously, as sir also added, that it is all about the higher thinking skills. It is about the critical thinking skills of the students. At the same time, what I believe strongly is that open book test is a door through which students can explore the other ways of expressing their knowledge. It is one way through which they can overcome their examination fear. One point. Second is that they can avoid those unfair means which they resort to whenever they come across such examination, because in a limited time they are supposed to answer the questions, and in that one it is expected that they remember all the formula, all the concepts, everything, and that needs to be reproduced in the paper. Whereas the examination should be a way to test what they think. How can they apply that knowledge in different situations? How can they apply that in order to face different challenges? That is very important. That is the main purpose of teaching them, isn't it? Employability is definitely one, but then we want to make individuals who are able to take up new challenges, who can add some innovative thoughts, innovative ideas, and help the world to grow. That should be the main objective of learning. So the focus is more on testing rather than on learning. An open book test can be a way through which students can uh, express their views, can go beyond the curriculum. If the book is with them, there is no pressure on them to by heart the formulae, by heart the concept, rote learn anything. Rather than that, if the questions are set properly, then students would be able to share their ideas in a very original manner. And this is what is expected from them. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll try to summarize what you said. You very well quoted the example when one of the biggest boards in India, the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, did a piloting on a very restricted format of open book examination. But the result was that children did not put in their effort or their understanding or their opinions in the final examination. They just copied the content that was given to them for comprehension. So the real purpose of that examination did not happen. Comprehension did not happen. They just took the information and blurted it out onto the paper. I think a very important observation that you've given, that the purpose of an examination should not be testing what they've learned. It should be the testing of what they have imbibed. What is their opinion on things right now? What is the how do they really comprehend the world around them? What's the effect that the content or the knowledge has made on them as individuals? Because when you want to grow them, you have to test them, not the content that you have provided. The content just is a stimuli. It cannot be the final resultant. I think a very important point that must be taken ahead, that are we really taking education from, consuming content to delivering it, to finally consuming content, digesting it, and giving out your opinion? Will we be able to take it to that third step? Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Dr. Jyoti Gupta, the principal of National Public School from Bengaluru, Karnataka. Jyoti ma'am, over to you. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
Very warm. Good evening. It's quite warm in Bangalore right now. So I have heard so many speakers and they said brilliant things. Absolutely, ma'am just now said that till now in India, we had been focusing on rote way of learning. And likely you said, sir, that we are assessing on what they have learned. We are more focusing on memorizing skills rather than, skills in which we are seeing what they are learning. the open system, open textbook system of examination, I think the objective behind it, which I could understand, is that first they are enhancing the interpretation skills of the child. They have to interpret what is thrown to them. So if they are given a situation, or they are given a document or a passage or anything to read, their interpretation skills have to be increased. So enhancement of interpretation skills will increase. Second is their decision making power will increase. So if they are given a situation and they're asked to respond to that situation, I think it will enhance their decision making skills as well. Then they need to have extensive exploration of the subject they are dealing with. So if they are going, let us say, which ma'am likely said, in 2014 and 15 we had implemented, and it started with, as far as I remember, for English, for biology, and they did it for somewhere in commerce and economics. So if you are giving them a question on a particular topic prior to going for an examination, which they might think that it will be an open examination, we'll read a passage and we are going to answer. No, not at all. It's not like that. You have to do extensive research. So it will promote research also in their own subject. They have to research, they have to read, they have to extensively explore their subject, and then make a mindset that, oh, I might be given a particular, something on this topic or that topic, and I have to comprehend and give an answer. So it will promote the research. It will be more research oriented, and exploration of that subject will take place. Next point, I think the important point is, or the pros are, the advantages are, that it will increase or highlight practical approach to learning. Till now, the child could not understand why I'm learning trigonometry. Okay, if you're going to do some work, we are IT expert, or I'm doing certain work, I don't know where I'm using trigonometry these days. So the practical approach of learning will be implemented, right? So, the child has to do the groundwork on the subject he's dealing with. So I think somewhere we are enlightening them that just by mugging up certain subjects, or mugging up certain formulas, or, just cramming them by heart, okay, will not help you until and unless you are truly understanding the essence of subject, and how that subject is practically related or practically oriented, as well as how that subject is related to other subjects. Okay, it will be integrated module. So if I am talking about, let us say, biology, I'm throwing a case study for biology, it can be integrated well with geography also, with topography also, right? So, and with the weather conditions also. So somewhere you are dealing with geography, you are dealing with physics, you are dealing with biology together. So I think the integration or the blending of different subjects will also happen, right? Do you agree with that, right, sir? So I think these are all advantages which I can see, which I can interpret. Lord will be said, and others will. These are very basic ideas which I found, which are different, a little different, which I could interpret. Now, if I talk about a little disadvantage over here is.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. The first 3 minutes were over, but we'll come back to you for the disadvantages. I'll try to summarize what you said. I think some very amazing points that you added. We are now, when we propose an open book examination, we are encouraging the student to enhance his or her interpretation of things. That's what we talked about. That are we moving that examination to dumping of your memory to finally opinionating? Will we be able to create individuals who will be able to formulate or articulate their opinions in a manner where the evaluator can really give them marks on the basis of that? You talked about decision-making power will increase, as they'll have to decide what do they put in it or what they don't put in it. And most importantly, a very important thing that you mentioned that has to be a part of the conversation, that when you want an open book examination, the curriculum has to evolve in a way where it is a surprise for the person who's going to attend the examination. Because until and unless you don't make it a surprise for them, they won't research. So it's your responsibility to create a circumstance where the student has to research about the subject, where he or she has to go beyond the textbook, beyond the curriculum that's referred to. Only then there's the utility of an open book examination. If the curriculum is limited, if the curriculum is set, if the reference books are set, then the relevance of the open book examination goes for a toss. So it's very critical that the open book examination is tied up to research, where the student has to go in depth in the subject and finally, try to grasp the spirit of the subject. That why is it being taught to you and what's the utility of this in your life? And finally, if we are able to achieve this by giving them the right kind of challenges, I think only then the open book examination becomes relevant. So what we must understand at this point is that you're not really giving students an examination to take. You're basically bringing them to a cohort where you give them a set of challenges continuously on different parameters and then finally take them to an examination. So thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. Some very amazing points you added. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Mohammed Zahirul Islam, the principal of Benchmark International School from Dhaka, Uttara, Bangladesh. Zahirul Islam, over to you for the next 3 minutes and a very warm welcome.
Much, Mr. Daksh, Gaur. Good evening to all the esteemed educators and BlubWorld, of course, and all the teen parliament members here. This is much, Mr. Jahirul Islam, as Daksh said, and I'm the principal of Benchmark International School. We are operating since 2022 in Bangladesh, and we are operating national curriculum from play to 10. And the most amazing news, actually, when I got the invitation to talk about today's topic, I could immediately, relate myself to that, because in Bangladesh, as all of you know, from 2023, our current government, they have actually brought a paradigm shift in the national curriculum. From previously, it was based on rote learning, on memorization, kind of conventional. But after 2023, it has become completely based on the experience-based learning. So in our country, there is a slogan for the current change in the curriculum. They say that learning will happen in experience, and the evaluation will take place through the skill assessment. So this is the current slogan of our new curriculum. So I can also relate myself to that. But again, since people are quite enthusiastic on the opposite side, there are lots of people talking against it. And there are lots of controversy going on right now for the changes. That always happens whenever you try to bring a change. You have to, take a lot of preparation. So today, what I'm gonna do, there are a lot of avenues. My, co-speaker, they already talked about the pros and cons, but I will actually talk about the groundwork that you need to do before bringing a change. That's the one point I'm going to focus. Okay, so as I said that in our country, in our curriculum, our current government has actually brought the change in terms of learning outcomes. They want to make it based on the experience, that learners, they will gather the experience, and through their experience they will learn, and they're going to apply it, and their learning outcome will be completely skill based, because in the job market they have to be skilled, and they have to utilize what they actually learned. They should know how to utilize their knowledge and their learning and their experience. So what I would say that the topic, that open book exam in the Indian curriculum, it opens an avenue for the students to actually how they can utilize their learning, not about actually what they memorize, they learned, how they can actually utilize it more creatively, and how actually they can find out more challenges. As Daksh said that, yes, while doing that, students should find it challenging. So I completely agree with him in that matter. And the main point actually I was trying to focus, that is, before introducing that, already I guess the educators in India, they have done the groundwork. But before that, I guess you need to train up the people in your country, the educators, the stakeholders, the students, whoever will be the consumers of this open book exam. They all need to be trained on the materials, on the resources, and the entire system, because our education system is heavily based on the evaluation system. And evaluation system, sometimes even it influences how and what they should learn. It is like that. This is the harsh reality of the evaluation of our conventional educational curriculum. So whenever we want to introduce something like open book exam, people may think, okay, So open book exam, this is a new concept. People will think that, okay, how come that students will open the book, then write from that? So we need to train up the people. I mean, the guardians and the stakeholders and the teachers, they will be setting the question, because the way you have to set the questions, it also poses a great challenge on the teachers. So the teachers, they need to be trained, and the stakeholders, they need to, I mean, know about the entire process and the resource that you will be actually preparing to test that whether students can understand and apply it. All these things.
Thank you so much, Zahirul. So the first 3 minutes are over. We'll try to again come back to you. I think it's amazing to have somebody from Bangladesh who has already experienced the journey of an open book examination. I think a very apt slogan, and which typically explains the idea of an open book examination to a layman. I think that's something that can be replicated even across India. Learning from Bangladesh, that you will, as a student, be learning from experiences, and your examination will be based on skill testing. So I think this is a much more outcome-based or employability-based way of doing things, where you're able to, learn through doing things on your own. And finally, did you acquire the requisite skill? Because right now we take learning outcomes just as a subjective matter. When we are able to define them as skills, it becomes quantifiable. And that's the way the employability of the individual increases. But you're very right when you say that when we try to introduce this, the problem is there's a lot of opposition with every change that comes in. So if there's an opposition, the most critical element becomes that, are you able to bring all the stakeholders onto a single platform? Are you able to convince them that, yes, this is the right approach to going forward? If you give them an open book examination, at the same time, it'll only be productive if you give them the requisite challenge. Otherwise, it might become counterproductive, the way it happened in the experiment of 2015, where we did not get the right kind of outcome that we wanted from the students who appeared for it. Thank you so much, Zahirul sir. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Vaibhav Patil, the principal of SNJB's late tree Dhanraj Mishri Lal Bansali English Medium School from Chandwad, Maharashtra. Vaibhav sir, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, sir. Very good evening to one and all, the dignitaries, the hosts, as well as the educators and the team members. Uh, when I heard about this subject, I was so much curious, because as a child, when I started thinking, not as a teacher or not as an administrator also, that the idea which was struck to my mind was, open book test is nothing but I will appear for the exam without any preparation, and I will find out the all answers from the book. Then slowly I started exploring the idea of open book examination, and then I came to know that it is nothing but the journey or the paradigm shift from knowledge to skill. And then I started thinking again, these are the set of 21st century skills where we are equipped and enabled with the high level technology, technical things. Then our students are getting global exposure. And when our children or when the students of this Z generation, they required all these skills. That's why open book test or initiative of so many things as per NEP are required. And while thinking about the success of all these things in the life of a child, particularly a teacher plays a very great important role. And when we are thinking about the disadvantage as well as the challenges of OBE, the first challenge will be to make the teacher ready for this OBE teaching procedure. Because in a recent 10 student experimentation, we found seven students failed to locate the point, the topic, when they were given an examination based on the OBE. After that, when the questions were framed as per skill base, then the familiarity with the questions was not with the or not was not on par with the students' level, whereas they were easily memorizing the concept. But while skill set examination, they are finding it difficult. So critical thinking, accessibility, and practical approach. These things basically should be taught and guided to the teachers. Teachers should be trained. Then and then only we are able to get the success in OBE, because OBE, or as per NEP and global platform, these are the things which are required. That is a journey from knowledge, rote memory to skill based. Skill based education, because HOTS and 4Cs: communication, critical thinking, creative thinking, and collaboration. So when open book test or anything is introduced newly, first it is opposed, as in previous discussions we have seen. But we want to make it successful only when everybody or every stakeholder thinks it and supports it. And that's why out just last week when I was just reading, so the researchers every year, the percentage of researchers is only 2.8% in India. PhD holders, they are enrolling their names for PhD is only 2.8%. So where is Indian education system? Are we still stuck with the Macaulay system? Are our teachers are stuck with the same traditional rote memory learning system? And that's why there is a mushrooming of so-called private coaching centers as well as. So when a child and his multiple intelligence theory states that let the child learn on his own way and the learning outcome will be shown in the practical life and in the actually market where he may be employable, he may get employment, he may be entrepreneur, or he may be a professional. That is what is the uh, tagline, or you can say the main aim of NEP 2020. That's why no draw.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. Sir, the 3 minutes are over. I think the most important point that must be taken ahead during the conversation that you bring in is that are we really focusing on research? Because when you quoted the number of only 2.8% of people really go into research or enroll themselves to research, this is a dismal kind of a stage. Because when we talk of when we talk of technology, when we talk of industry innovation, we talk of so many cohorts, so many funds that are going into it. But the essence of all of this, or where all of this really comes out of, is the education ecosystem. And are we really spending that kind of money, or are we really, encouraging children to be a part of research? Have we made research a lucrative career? That's the challenge which has to be addressed. When we talk of the Macaulay system, when we talk that there are challenges that India had because of being this or because of being that, we have to understand that have we made original thought, have we made research a lucrative career choice or a life choice for students who are studying? Only then we'll be able to create an atmosphere where we bring in the right kind of innovation. So thank you so much, Vaibhav sir, for adding this to the conversation. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Vinita Shenoy, the principal of Gateway College from Colombo, Sri Lanka. Vinita, ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
ChatGPT and AI seems to be taking over the world or taking over education. And I'm sure all of you heard that. And if you think that's scary, let me assure you that if we move step by step, making careful decisions about the future path, rest assured, we educators will not rock the boat and we will still have our jobs. Good evening, fellow esteemed speakers, students, and audience. I must first acknowledge my team of heads from Gateway College, Colombo, who collaborated with me and gave me ideas on this topic. So what I'd like to say is that we need to think how AI would amalgamate into the field of education, because that's the way forward. And we could and see how it would tread the least path of resistance. The second very important point is the purpose of examining. What are we really trying to find out? What is really our objective? In schools, we examine how much the student knows. It could be checking knowledge, application skills, or analytical skills. And for this, the method of understanding students' progress has been proved best for many years, probably from the 19th century since examinations were invented. But today, the teens are not satisfied with just reading from books. They want something more, right? Their scope of learning is at the fingertips. And therefore, we must think about how whether just an examination, which has been an official evaluation of the student's knowledge, whether that is really the way forward. So when we look at open book examination, it's not new. In Gateway College Colombo, it's an international school. We follow the London exams. We do the IGCSE and the A-levels. We also do the Australian A-levels, which is very encouraging to do research. I just heard you saying about research, how important it is. And research is given a important place in teaching. So if open book examination, as the previous speaker said, if we introduce it en masse, the biggest resistance, I'm sure, would be from old-timers in the field of teaching. To be more precise, teachers who still love the chalk and talk, the note giving, the test scenario, because it makes marking much easier. Students will just, take on all the notes that the teacher has given and they regurgitate the notes. So especially it happens in many schools, and the students will not learn for learning's sake. So again, in the closed book examination, it would be the choice of visual or read and write learners, not for the auditory and the kinesthetic learners. Students of today, the employees of the employer of the future, need to be street smart and to be able to find solutions. The open book examination would definitely allow students to read large chunks of material without having to actually memorize it. Knowledge is available everywhere at our fingertips, and anything about anyone or any place is just available there on the internet. Either you Google it or chat GPT and you'll get your answers. But one needs to ask the correct questions. And we know the teacher's expertise is the key driver for the students' learning. The pedagogy and the practices the teacher plays is a very, very important role. It's how they approach their teaching style and relates to the different theories that they use. Now, the open book examination would definitely encourage more reading. As mentioned, it should have that surprise aspect, as you just mentioned, to create that inquisitiveness in the students. Then students will move to the higher order skills of assimilating, organizing their time, and this is also time management. So the stress of memorizing volumes of data is definitely detrimental. And do they need to produce it only from a textbook? That is, if you want them just to memorize the textbook. As a result, the children will find ways of cheating. And in today's context, it is something which we need to think about. So some of you would remember how few years ago, or many years ago, people would remember phone numbers, birth dates. But today we barely remember anyone because we don't need to. So today's education talks of inclusive learners, children with different abilities. Are we able to cater to these children? Open book examination would support the students, provided the teachers are able to create questions to cater to the different levels of students. Again, content-based subjects like literature and geography would be easier for open book compared to the other syllabus, the other subjects like maths and physics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Some very important points that you added. I think you bring in a very good blend of experience when you talk about already operating the IGCSE and the Australian curriculum, because in both of these curriculums, we have seen that they always talk about the vision, mission, and how do teenagers really implement it into the world. It's very important when you say that the teacher becomes a little more critical in an open book examination, because if you're not able to place the right questions, you won't be able to meet the objective. So the onus of proving the system right comes on the teacher. And that's why the maximum resistance comes from the same community who does not want that kind of a change, because this increases their effort in taking a simple examination. And I think it's very right when we also talk that now examination cannot be an event. It has to be a part of habit. Only then an open book examination becomes relevant. That it's not about on one single day you have put your life together and you then finally are examined for something. No, it's based on your experiences of learning and you're being tested every single day by real world problems. Only then an open book examination could become relevant. And most importantly, the transition that has happened in our own lives when we talk of phone numbers that we knew, we remembered, and now when the phone holds everything for us, not just the numbers, but really our life, whether it's experiences, photographs, or everything. And we've evoluted beyond that. We have built skills beyond that, because this is something that we now know that yes, that's taken care of. We don't need to remember that. So we as humans should stop being afraid of technology changes or AI coming in or technology evolving to a place where humans will get replaced. The most amazing part of humans is they get super afraid and they evolve at a speed that even computers and technology cannot. So that's why humans won't ever be replaced. The only thing, the people who are lazy might get replaced. But as a race, we cannot be replaced because we are one of the most successful races that the world has seen after cockroaches, for sure, because they're the ones that have existed for the longest period of time on the face of this earth. So we've heard all the speakers and there's amazing content that has come out. We're very happy that a lot of teenagers, school leaders, teachers, and parents have joined this session. If you have any opinions, the same video will be available on our YouTube channel after 2 days. And you'll see a blog on our website, which will typically cover all the important points that have been discussed in today's talk. So the open book examination really is a kind of a journey that takes us from the present to the future. And in this journey, we have to understand that as curriculum developers, as policy makers, we used to limit the curriculum so that children could learn and give an examination. That's the way curriculums were made. We typically tried to gauge the capacity of a child, how much can they digest, and let's place these limits on a subject so that children can give an examination and pass to the next level. But now, technology and the world is giving the policy makers a chance that remove those limits. Let the student explore the subject rather than just educate them in a subject. So we have to move from education to exploration. The challenge is, will we be able to provide them the right kind of atmosphere for exploration? Because exploration makes amazing citizens, makes amazing innovators, and makes amazing societies. But at the same time, it makes a lot of risk takers. So the basic rules of society can get challenged. So are we ready to create such policies, create such environment where people can really challenge the status quo? The examination is not sitting in a classroom and writing a paper. The examination is a problem-solving exercise where children start solving actual real-world complex problems. So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the BlubWorld Web Talks 231st episode. This was about open book examinations, and the journey simply traverses us from just learning to being able to opinionate, articulate, and try to devise and design a world that we all want to live into. And that's why, can we dream of these teenagers as policymakers? And that's why we try to find them through an extensive exercise called the World Teen Parliament. Thank you so much, everyone. This was the BlubWorld Web Talks 231st episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, and if you want to attend the future session, please raise your hand, clap your hand, and make some noise. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the BlubWorld Web Talks. Namaste, signing off. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.